Dairy goats are a great addition to small homesteads, providing additional self-sufficiency on less acreage than you might think. I'll share with you how I've raised and kept goats on our small homestead, their shelter, milking barn, some essentials, and many of the benefits goats offer a small homestead. Hi everyone, if we haven't met before, I'm Allie, and we raise and grow 80% of our food on this 1/2 acre homestead of intensely planted and highly utilized space. I've been caring for and keeping dairy goats for over 32 years now. These creatures are curious, naughty, and completely delightful to have on a small homestead. I absolutely love my barn. It is tiny, but it has everything I need, and it's served me and the goats very well over these past several years. It has a place to store some hay, grain, and things that I need on a day-to-day basis to care for my goats out of the weather. It's an L shape with one wing to put hay in and the other where the milk stand sits. It has 2 doors that are split doors, which are great to open the top for airflow or light, and still keep my girls out or in. I can enter from the back so that I don't have to go through the barnyard, and another door to let the goats in for milking time. There is a window to drop their food into the manger from the inside, and a top window to allow for some airflow during the hot summers. The door to the barnyard has a great spring-loaded latch that Kevin created. It's easy to open, but Houdini goat-proof. Good latches are more than essential with goats. The roof is made of hand-split cedar shakes. The design is unique. You can see light through, but not a spot of rain comes through. A milk stand is essential for the ease of milking. My in-laws made me this stand years ago when I first got into milking, and it's held up very well, and it's made of pallets. Some milk stands will have a seat off to the side, but I actually prefer being closer to the goat, closer to the udder, and it's less fatiguing this way. The goat jumps up on the stand, puts her head through the opening to the bowl of grain. Then I lock her head in by moving the wood bar over and latch it in place. This keeps them still while milking. Otherwise, they would jump off, possibly step in the milk bucket or kick the milk bucket. It's safe for me and safe for them. I feel like it's the perfect functional milk stand. I have a few shelves in the barn, and this just makes it where I can store my essentials that I use on a day-to-day basis, including herbs, and even some herbs that I use for emergencies. Our barn and barnyard sits on the back part of the property with the hay barn on the north end corner. The hay barn is tall, offering a windbreak from the strongest and coldest of winds. It's tall for vertical storage, taking up less footprint. The downside is heaving the bales up high. Not impossible, it just takes hard work. Our hay barn has been an excellent investment. We used to store our hay on pallets with tarps, and no matter how hard we tied down those tarps, our strong winds would always take off those tarps, and it always happened during the rain, causing a lot of our hay to go bad because of mold. And you can't feed goats moldy hay because that can make them very sick. So it just made sense to give our hay a permanent home that had good cover. Bad hay can certainly be composted and used in the garden later. But when hay is scarce, I'd rather have good hay than composting material. The footprint that it takes is only 7 foot wide and 30 foot long. The fruit trees and the grass that basically surround the goats' area help keep them cooler during the hot summers, and the barn will offer them afternoon shade. They want out of the sun as much as we do. Good fencing is so essential to keep a naughty goat in, making them good goats. Our fence is cattle panels that are 4 foot tall. Their yard has about 800 square foot with 2 shelters. Shelter is hugely important. Goats don't like to be wet and shouldn't be wet. They have an overhang where their manger is, keeping them and their food dry. There's another sheltered area that's attached to the barn where they sleep, and they can get out of the weather. We can also use it as a birthing room. It's almost all the way enclosed with an opening on the south. It's the warmest side and the least windy. It has a gate that can be closed if needed. It's really nice to use at birthing time. This room is well lit, which can be critical at night, especially on those late night birthings. Goats will need at least 200 square foot per goat. So for 2 goats, and you will want 2 goats, you'll need at least 400 square foot, plus an additional 20 square foot per goat of sheltered area. Our children used to walk the mamas and their babies around the block for exercise, and now the grandkids are loving this as well. With small spaces, a little extra exercise is a great thing. A baby goat that has been handled from the beginning will be a friendly goat, just like man's best friend, easy to handle and easy to walk on a leash. It's hard when you have a not-so-friendly goat that runs from you when you're trying to come up to it or trying to catch it for one reason or another. All of our dairy goats have been bottle-fed and will come when they're called by name, making it so easy at milking time or just general goat care. Baby goats depend on you for their needs, and because of that, they bond with you, and sometimes they become beyond friendly. I started with one goat, and her name was Uno. She had one horn, and she was very lonely when we brought her home. And a lonely goat is a loud goat. So one goat quickly turned into two. Goats need companionship of their own kind. They're social creatures and will be happier and healthier with a friend. Goats love to play and have things to climb on and jump around on. They like playgrounds. Kids love to be kids, but even adults love to play. Wood stumps, tires, and wood spools are a part of their playground. Baby goat time is the best. It never grows old. Our children got to experience numerous births, and now our grandchildren get to witness the birth of life. Help raise and love these wonderful creatures, and these are lessons of a lifetime. Our home sits on an angle on the property. This allows for more backyard space, but it sets the kitchen window up so that I can see the orchard and keep an eye on the entire backyard and all of the animals. There's nothing better than cooking in the kitchen and watching baby goats jump around. It can put a smile on anyone's face. Goats are foragers. When I let them out into the orchard, they don't run for the grass and graze on it. They like things at eye level. The first thing they do is run for the grape leaves, the berry bushes, and the tender new growth on our fruit trees. They will eat the very thing that you don't want them to eat if you're not careful. I do let them out in the fall time to eat the fallen leaves, and they do a good job of cleaning that up, but I do have to be very mindful of them. Goats love variety. They get plenty of snacks from the garden on a daily basis. Their primary food is alfalfa hay, and I'll feed alfalfa pellets as well as a treat. Just recently, I've been feeding some chaff hay, which is a shredded hay with molasses and fermented products. Chaff hay is a good substitute for hay bales, and it takes up less space. When they're on the milking stand, they get an organic goat chow pellet that has grains, essential oils, kelp, and minerals to keep the milk production up. Goats can provide milk year-round if you plan your breeding program right. You'll need a couple of months between your goats of when they kid. Goats do need to be bred to give milk, and that's generally once a year. We don't keep a buck on our property for a couple of reasons. One, we don't have the space to keep a buck with an extra pen because you don't want them to be kept together, except for breeding time. Bucks that are kept with milking does can actually taint the flavor of the milk. Plus, bucks stink. If you've ever smelt a buck when does are in heat, you know exactly what I mean. Goat's milk doesn't have to taste like the hair of the goat. A good quality milk doe fed a good clean diet, clean utensils, and sanitary, then the milk will just taste like good milk. Did you know that 65% of the world drinks goat milk? Goat's milk can be made into yogurt, cheese, and cream, basically anything that you'd use cow's milk for. Goats are great recyclers. They love small twigs and branches that I trim, and this also gives them good roughage they need. Garden greens that go bitter or are going to seed all go to the goats and chickens. Nothing goes to waste here. It will get eaten by something that lives here or at least gets composted. When we first got goats, it was to supply our family with milk. But more than that, we wanted our kids to learn about nature, to learn good work ethics, to learn where their food came from, and to love and care for God's creatures. Hey, I've got a Bible verse for you. Proverbs 27:27. Look it up and let me know what you think. Thanks for joining me today. God bless you and your family.
I got this one. Leave me a minute.